Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, it's good.
Okay, great. Thanks. I am going to go on live. Okay, great. So this is a huge screen. So hi, everyone. Again, my name is Jasmine. I am one of the co-founders of Recommend Group. We are Southeast Asia's #1 home and property services platform. And right now we are in 2 countries, Indonesia and Malaysia. With us, we also have Alex, who is also a co-founder, and we split our duties such that I take care of investor relations, the strategy part, as well as business development and operations. And I'll let Alex introduce himself. Alex will start off the first part of the presentation, and then I will continue after Alex is done.
Yeah, hi, I'm Alex. I'm the product manager and also the marketing director. We can start, go right into it. So, as homeowners, I'm sure, if you've ever done any kind of renovation or repair, it's always a very stressful or uncertain period. I myself was the victim of a bad repair job. My water heater broke and was leaking all over my ceiling. And when the guy came, I just found him on Google, and when he came, he basically climbed into the ceiling, took it out, and then wanted to charge me like 6 times more than the normal price, just to fix it up. So at that time, there really wasn't any kind of platform to find who is good, who has reviews, who is reliable. But of course, it has changed over many years, thanks in part to our platform, really. But it's a common thing that occurs or affects everybody. So really, we wanted to try and fix it based on that experience that I had. Next slide. Really, the main thing that we're trying to solve in Malaysia as well as Indonesia is transparency and trust. Transparency in the for the idea that you need to know what you're getting and what the price is going to be, but also in terms of when is the guy going to come, is he going to be late, that kind of thing. And for trust, you want to know whether this guy is has done previous work and done it well, and whether he has good reviews, and whether he can show examples of his good work. So based on those 2 things, that's how we started. But it does, the way that we address transparency and trust is all using the points on the right-hand side of the screen. When you book a repair, you can choose the day and the time slot. And based on that, you should get a confirmation within 30 minutes. In fact, it's much shorter for many categories right now. For example, if you wanted an aircon servicing, you probably could get a confirmation within 5 minutes or even 3 minutes now. And for the transparency, we standardize the prices and the quality, and the scope of services, so you always know what you get. And it has worked quite well. The ratings that we get for our service providers has averaged a high of 4.6, and a net promoter score of 50 to 60%. Even in the event that anything goes wrong, we do provide warranty and insurance. So our platform has grown quite big. We started in 2014, and that was in Malaysia only. Just 1 year later, we opened in Indonesia as sejasa.com, so a slightly different name. But today, we have already served 1.5 million homes. And every month we get 30,000 job requests. So this could be small stuff, house cleaning, to huge things like, construct an entire 2-story house. All the jobs put together is worth $10 million. And for a lot of the jobs like cleaning and aircon servicing, they can also pay through our system. And 15,000 of those actually pay through our system. So the way that we split our platform is to 3 parts. The left one, home maintenance on demand, are for the jobs like I mentioned, the ones where you can book right away and get a confirmation right away. And these are the small ones like cleaning, aircon servicing, mattress cleaning, plumbers, electricians, that sort of thing. The middle column is our home improvement marketplace, and those are for the big projects. So that one is not really a booking style. You go in there and you list down your requirements. I want to put up a 2-story house in this area. Yeah, here are the things I want to do. And based on that, you will get quotations instead of booking confirmations. Yeah, and we'll give you up to 4 quotations. And each of those quotations, the service providers that are interested in your job, they will give you an estimate as well. Yeah. So it could be like, even for slightly smaller jobs that is not easy to price right away, like, installing your plaster ceiling or replacing your floors, all those things. We do it in our marketplace. Then finally, in the last part, we do have a small internal fleet of a small interior design team, but that one we use to handle like corporate accounts or to do special projects with property developers. Yeah. So the first and second columns are the ones that we provide to customers. And it's not just, repairs and cleaning. We've been able to cover a wide range of services, and really it's quite easy for us. We've gotten quite good at expanding into any kind of service category that we need, right? If there is a demand, suddenly if there is a demand for guitar lessons, we'll just go in there. If there's suddenly a demand for, mold removal in homes, we'll go in there as well. Yeah, no problem. The way that it breaks down is that, some categories are lower value, but higher volume. As you can see, cleaning is like that, right? The bottom right. But some are high value, but low volume. They only happen once, and that's like interior design. But there are some jobs that are high volume and high value. Yeah, you can see the top right is chiller servicing, aircon servicing. And the reason they are high volume and high value is because those belong to offices or restaurants or cafes. Yeah, and they have many branches, and they always need us to come and make the repairs. Otherwise, they will lose business. Yep. So we cover a huge range.
Got it.
And because of our platform, we've managed to integrate with many other organizations. Yeah, we basically power their super apps. For example, if in Indonesia, we already partnered with Grab. Yeah, so if you open the Grab app in Indonesia, you can find us under the cleaning and fixing category. Yeah, so you can see get a Grab driver, get Grab food, and also get your house clean, and we are there. Yeah, it's just a part of the entire app itself. We're also in Shopee, Indonesia. Yeah, and in Malaysia, we already partnered with IKEA, Cots, and Aeon. So if you buy an aircon, we can install it for you. Yeah, you can just book the installation when you buy the aircon right there. But we also partner with property developers. Yeah, the residents who own properties in Masing or Sunway, they themselves have an app, but we are in that app as well. Yeah, and if you need, I got a problem with my aircon, you book it through their app. It will come to us anyway. Yeah, and finally, the neighborhood apps that handle the sinking fund and the security, you can book through those as well, and it will come to us also. Yeah, so you can see that this is a business that can actually, scale up to a lot of different partners.
Thanks, Alex. So, essentially, what Alex is describing, and what we have been staying true to our vision from the start, is not being in aircon installer company, aircon service company, cleaning company, or an individual category. We're essentially a platform where we can add and we can serve all sorts of home services, everything from home maintenance, like cleaning, plumbing, aircon servicing, to renovations, interior design, and all like big jobs like carpentry, ceiling, painting, and all of that, as well as serve interior design packages, right? So we are a central platform that connects customers, not just our own customers, but also third parties like Grab, Boost, Shopee, Link Aja, any super app out there, to our strong base of service providers, right? And we have a lot of categories, from those that are very big value, like renovations, interior design, to those that are of the smallest value, things like cleaning, massage, even in Indonesia, right? And what Alex also mentioned earlier is that we can potentially adjust our categories depending on how the market is moving. So prior to the pandemic, a lot of people were doing renovations, so we put a lot of focus there. During the pandemic, renovations kind of tapered off, and a lot of people were fixing their fridge and their aircon and their washing machines, right? And then we put more effort there. Now, post-pandemic, a lot of people are picking up the keys to their homes that has been delayed for many years, right? And so now we have launched home inspection, defect checking, renovations, interior design packages. So essentially, this is a tech platform that is very, very scalable and very, very defensive as well. At any time when the analytics senses that the market is moving, we are able to adjust our focus accordingly. And when you look at other parts of the world, there are big players as well. So in the US, you have Thumbtack, you have Handy, you have Home Advisor. These are $2 to $4 billion businesses. In India, you have two very big players in which we admire a lot, Urban Company, as well as LiveSpace. These guys are about 1 to 2 billion at their last raise, and they have raised maybe 100, 200 million. And in Australia, we have some players as well. They are profitable as well as have already IPO'd. This is like Airtasker, which is similar to our model, as well as High Pages that does more interior design, renovations, that sort of thing. So you see, in many parts of the world, you have got players that have been at scale. And in Southeast Asia, we are happy and humble to also say that even though we operate only in Indonesia and Malaysia for now, we are the largest player by number of transactions, transaction volume as well. Okay, so we want to be the equivalent in Southeast Asia. And why is this now a very interesting time? Well, I mentioned before, we are the number one player in both markets that we are in, right? We do not have many credible competition in a sense, right? And our business grew before, during, and after the lockdowns, which is telling you that no matter what economic cycle, no matter what pandemic and crazy things that the world goes through, everybody needs to fix their aircon, right? Because it's very hot. Okay, so it's a very resilient kind of model. And number three, our tech platform, right, is one that automates acquisition, retention, payment, and quality. So no matter what category we expand into, the moment we start up a category, like home inspection, for example, the entire funnel is already established. So the business profiles, the service providers that we generate, the landing pages that is automatically generated, starts to rank on SEO already. Customers come in, they go through the pricing, they go through the order form and everything, and they pay online, right? Which means that even without any service providers, we have customers who are paying already. Obviously, we need some service providers, otherwise we have to refund the customers. But the marketing and sales is already established. And on our platform, service providers who join can already see some customers coming in, right? And then they say, okay, I'm going to pick up this customer. I'm going to connect to this customer. This is how much I'm going to bid for the job, how much I'm going to quote. So there's already a CRM function going on, and they can also collect payments. Our system allows payments, pre-payments, post-payments, recurring payments, escrow payments, where we keep the money until the job is completed. It allows all these different scenarios. And then the service provider then gets to use our system for scheduling, quality, and training and everything. So since that, it is a tech platform, right? With all these capabilities to facilitate online service transactions. And the business is growing, right? There are seasonalities, but we aim to get profitable in 6 to 12 months. And we are making very good progress, to be honest, towards our goal. Now, if you look at jobs connected per quarter, connected is very important because if a lead comes in and nobody picks it up, then it's not considered connected. Connected jobs, you can see, has been growing. There are seasonalities. Typically in Chinese New Year period is high, Hari Raya period is high. Towards the end of year, it gets a little bit softer, right? So there is some seasonality, but you can see that every quarter is an improvement on the previous quarter, right? So no matter rain or shine or pandemic in this crazy 3 years, we have managed to grow our business. And this is by reducing our marketing slowly, so that we are inching towards profitability. Now, Alex mentioned that we are also bringing transactions online. We used to be a platform where it's mostly lead generation, right? Customer meets the service provider and then they transact online and we just get a lead generation fee. But in the past 3 years, we have been moving the transactions online. We want to process the transactions because we get a better sense of how much the jobs are. We are able to adjust our margin and we generally know how to grow our business. So that's what we've been doing. And in the past 4 years, we have grown our number of transactions 5 times. And for a business in which a lot of the transactions are face-to-face, that is quite impressive, I think. Okay. The pandemic also helped because before the pandemic, people were very comfortable with cash and they're like, oh, can I just pay you cash? But now people are saying like, I don't hold dollar notes. You either get paid online or you don't get paid at all. And so the majority of our customers now pay online without us needing to convince them or give them promo codes in any way at all. So the pandemic really, really helped our business. Okay. And when you look at revenue and net revenue, revenue is basically gross billings. Net revenue is the amount of money that we keep in our platform in order to run our operations and all that, our marketing. And you can see every single quarter is growing. You can't even see when the pandemic started and when the pandemic ended, right? In a sense, because our business is very, very resilient. When things go west, then we can change our business accordingly. When things go south, we also can change our business accordingly. The risk is actually fairly low. All right. And well, we can see that, in the previous charts, a lot of our volume comes from Indonesia, right? The volume in Indonesia is something like 10 times the volume in Malaysia because the population is 300 million versus our population of 30 million, right? But you can see the revenue is a little bit more evenly spread, mostly because in Malaysia, things cost a lot more. So aircon service here is about $30 US, about 130 to 150 ringgit. Whereas an aircon service in Indonesia is about $17, which is slightly half, so about half the amount, right? So you can see that Malaysia actually delivers very significant revenue, even though the volumes are much smaller. But we want to grow our volumes in Malaysia because we are now the #1 player and there isn't actually a close #2. So it is time for us to take the market, okay? And why are we very excited about this, okay? Well, 3 reasons. The first one is that the home is now becoming center of activity, right? People thought that during the pandemic, their homes became super important because they're not spending time in the office and they're not stressing out their office aircon. They're now stressing out their home aircon. And to a certain degree, they have stayed at home. At least people are like half a week working from home nowadays, right? So our demand for aircon went up. Businesses also not just find it hard to hire, they also don't really want to commit. Everybody is saying 2023, 2024, recession coming. We are very worried. We don't want to hire workers. So they want to outsource. So we have many restaurant chains. We have got companies coming to us and say, I don't really want to hire a maintenance team anymore. Can I connect to you? And you become my outsourced maintenance team, installation team. That's why we have people like, Courts, Aeon and all that approaching us and saying like, can you take care of all these things? We don't want to be the HR person anymore for all these technicians. And then the third one is that workers now prefer flexible-based jobs because they're partly working from home, right? So they're also doing side gigs. And we have cleaners who only work 4 hours a day. We have got graphic designers, for example, who only want to do a couple hours a day and, in between their real job. So we have a lot of flexible workforce now coming to our platform because this is where they can earn their side income. Okay, so a lot of things are pushing the economy, pushing the society and industry structure towards a more flexible working model where a platform like ours become more and more powerful. Okay, so and essentially, what are we building, right? What is the dream that we are building? So we connect customers, we connect super app partners like Grab, Boost, Shopee in Indonesia now. Property agents use our platform as well because they get a referral fee. Outlets and retailers like Family Mart, Old Town, right? All these guys give us jobs, right? It could be anything from cleaning jobs, aircon service jobs to even, not very fun things like clogging, as well as grease trap servicing, that kind of thing. It flows into our platform and our service professionals then take up the jobs from all these different guys, right? They follow exactly the same process. But essentially, all these individuals as well as small service companies, the moment they join our platform, they have a full suite of services to run their business, marketing and sales, list of customers, right? Being able to manage them, message them, remind them, send WhatsApps to them, payment and credits where they can collect money by credit card, directly from bank account, even run recurring payments for cleaning, scheduling, quality and trust. They can use our calendar to manage all their matai, all their people, and know that when the customer is served by their matai, what is the rating and review that the customer gives, right? So in that way, they can manage their own business. Okay, and we are collecting a lot of information that allows us to add additional services into our platform. The first one is that we collect information on what kind of things people buy during a renovation. What do they buy? Because all the invoicing goes through us, right? What can we potentially supply to them? We realize that a lot of people buy aircons. Our customer buys aircons, service provider buys aircons. Everybody wants to buy aircon. So one of the things that we launched this year is aircons, right? Not in a big way yet because we're putting together the supply chain. But this is just the start of us being able to provide supply. We like extended warranty because not just we sell the aircon, we can, repair the aircon, we can sell the extended warranty. We can repair the aircon, we can maintain the aircon as well. We can service the aircon. So the entire life cycle of home appliances, we can handle, right? All brand repairer network as well, because we can serve any brands out there. You don't need to call Samsung anymore. Cheaper for you to actually call us and faster as well, right? If you call Samsung, they will, put you on a waiting line, and then someone will call you back, and then you have no idea. And when the person charges you, it's everywhere. But when you call us, you can get a Samsung authorized guy to actually serve, and everything's online, right? All brand repairer network as well as SME financing. And why we like financing is because all these parties like, Alpha Mart in Indonesia, Family Mart, Old Town, they have payment terms. Our service providers cannot tahan payment terms, right? Because they need to be paid on the day itself. Their workers need to be paid on the day itself. So we are, one of the potential things that we're looking at towards the end of this year is SME financing. How do we provide financing to these guys? We pay them first while they are waiting for payment from their customer. Okay, so that is that. So this year, what are we focusing on? And we have already started with it, it's May, obviously. 30% of our effort is about strengthening the B2C side. There is the algorithm for allocating jobs. We are using AI to do a few things. Estimate the size of the job accurately. Now, it being services, sometimes we're not able to tell when customers say their washing machine is making a funny sound. We don't really know what it is because it could be the drum, it could be that, some parts are actually loose, needs to be replaced, or it could just need servicing because it's clogged. Using our data, we can then say if your machine is this brand and is making this sound and then this light is blinking, we are roughly going to tell you that it is 180 ringgit job. Okay, no other people can do that because our system and technology picks up enough data such that we can estimate. So if customers come to us and say, I would like to paint, I got 3 walls, it's roughly, this height, and I want to use Nippon paint, we're able to tell them roughly how much it will cost. We're using the data that we have also to improve the app user experience and launch a membership program, which we have done so in Malaysia, where customers actually pay for being members, and because they are members, they get to have all the benefits and the discounts, the advisory that comes with being a member on our platform, and it will also make sure that the service provider gives them the absolutely best price. That's the first part. The big part of what we are doing also is now that we have a base of very good quality service providers all over the country, we are now serving businesses with chains all over the country. So Courts, Aeon, for example, 100 over branches, absolutely where. They want to provide an experience to the customer where when you walk into the store, after you buy an aircon, you don't stress about who's going to deliver it, right? But yet, if they do it themselves, they will need to get aircon installer in Kemaman, and aircon installer in Kajang, and aircon installer in Batu Kawan, right? So in order to make sure that their staff feel very comfortable just selling the aircon, no matter where you are in Malaysia, we can install it. They have partnered with us. And we are able to do that because existingly in Batu Kawan, we already have an aircon installer that is doing B2C jobs. And now we tell them, hey, instead of serving Mr. Ahmad or Miss Sarah, now you serve Aeon customers or Courts customers. And there are definitely a difference in flow because they have to check the aircon and things like that. But it is essentially the same bunch of 4.5-star quality service providers serving our partners. And so as we add on more and more and more partners, our service provider becomes more and more and more dependent on us because nobody else can give them that volume of jobs. And repair network, I talked about it before. We like that. We want to go into appliances because it is a huge industry and it's very hot in Malaysia, Indonesia as well. Okay, so essentially, right, our business is about this: technology, focus, to convert customers, retain the customers, retain the service provider. Everybody do things on the platform. And on the training side, we are deploying a more MLM kind of method. Okay, a lot of people think MLM is negative, but it's actually very positive because you get people acquiring, you get this business partner, they acquire, they train, they control quality on your behalf, and all you need to give them is a certain margin of the job. So a very good capital friendly way to grow the business. We have got business partners, 10 major ones now in 10 of the major cities in Indonesia, and they acquire for us cleaners, aircon service guys, masseuse guys, train them, certify them on our standards, and deploy them to work, right? So it's just like same as the Young Living or the Herbalife type of model. Okay, and I'll go through, in terms of B2B, who are the partners that we're signing up? We have Quartz, we have Aeon. In Indonesia, we are working with people like Moderna, Blibli to do the installation, Travelio even, right, to outsource all the different kind of fixes they have in the house. And we support that, right, nationwide. And mentioned going through aircon, I really like aircon, right? I'm a fan of aircon. And we are taking care of the entire supply chain end to end. Okay, so that's us. We are aiming towards break even in 6 to 12 months. And this year, we are actually making good progress towards that, right? In about 3-4 months, we'll probably be able to give an update that we are almost there. So I hope that that's what's going to happen. So right now, we are aiming towards growth, and that is why we are fundraising as well, because we do need to grow a little bit more before we are able to break even. Our fixed cost in terms of tech and all that has mostly been built over the years already, but we need a little bit more scale, right? And a few more, maybe about 2-3 more large partners before we get there. So that is what we'll be focusing on every single day, every single hour this year. Now, and if anybody is hoping to invest, and we hope that, you will like to join us, support us, create the Malaysian success story we hope to make. This is our structure. We are headquartered in Singapore, mostly because our earlier on investors were regional, right? And the Singaporean company owns 3 subsidiaries 100%. So we don't have any JVs anywhere. Very, very clean, very tidy. Malaysia, we have 2 companies. One company dealing with the marketplace, where we pass off jobs to the service providers. The interior design company, where we sell templated design, we serve our good quality customers and do project management as well. And then the Indonesian company, which is really also a marketplace company, right? So all 3 are fully owned by us. For pitching, if you are intending to join, we are issuing from our Malaysian subsidiary, our biggest Malaysian subsidiary, right? And when we issue shares there, in 6 months' time, we will actually convert the shares to the holding company. And why we do so is so that you can benefit from our growth, not just in Malaysia, but in Indonesia as well, which is a market that's 10 times the size, very stable, government, very progressive, and doing all the right things, right? Just like us, but I guess they had a few more years head start, maybe 10 years head start, right? In terms of doing the right things, in terms of a business perspective. So the minimum investment we are taking in order to accept a pitch-in offer is 1 million ringgit. We are probably halfway there already, even before we went live, so that's great. If you will support us, the minimum investment per lot is 4,290, but obviously we hope you support us with more so that we are able to get to our target faster. Okay, and that will give us about 2.2% of the company, and the maximum we're accepting is 5 million. But to be honest, anywhere close to the minimum amount, it will be enough for us to break even and continue growing already independently. So minimum amount is all we need, to be honest, right? And how do you then, okay, and what are the incentives, right? If you're a current customer, which is probably the reason why you're here, because you get our, you've used us before, you know how we work, and you know how useful this service is, we will also give additional credits. So if you invest more than 10,000 ringgit, 50,000 ringgit, or 100,000 ringgit, you can use these credits in order to do your home renovation, office renovation, whatever you need. If you are a service provider with us, and we have quite a few who already signed up, we will give you additional credits, and we will also give you status that allows you to pick up more jobs, right, than the other service providers out there. So we are hoping that the more customers and service providers support us, our ecosystem becomes more stronger and more retentive. So how do you exit, right? So typically when you exit, there's two things. As the revenue grows, the valuation grows, the price per share goes, and as the multiple grows, it becomes better and better. Now it's actually a very, everybody is quite like, depressed, like I can say. So everybody's very conservative. But as the market recovers, we are already seeing signs that investors are coming back, and the IPO markets will probably follow in about 12 months, right? So when we raise the next round, and we hope to do that in 6 to 12 months time, you will be given a chance to exit, right? So the price goes up, you will be given a chance to exit, or you can wait until we IPO eventually, right? I'm thinking a 3-year time frame is reasonable. We can do one in either Indonesia, where it is our largest market, or Australia as well. So there are opportunities, and to be honest, we're already talking with some parties, right? So early days, very early days, but good things are happening. Okay. Core management team, I won't go into it too much. You see here myself in the middle and Alex, my co-founder. The both of us, we started this at our kitchen table. I don't know, it's 8 years ago, so it's been some time. And our other co-founder, Anthony, who is an Indonesian, right? So you can see 3 of us over there. On the right on the screen, you see JB and Chloe. They are respectively the head of growth and analytics, as well as the head of marketplace. And they have been with us for 6-7 years. They know the system much better than Alex and I, to be honest. They have been our pillars of the Malaysian business. You will see them everywhere, to be honest. And on the left, the 3 gentlemen is actually the country head in Indonesia, the head of finance and B2B sales, as well as the head of technology. So Alex oversees the product, making sure that the product is aligned to our strategy. And the chap there on the left with the batik shirt, he delivers it, right? He manages our entire team. And in Indonesia, our head office is in Jakarta, and our development is actually out of Bandung. So the vibe is very different, right? Jakarta is very business, fast-paced, it's very hazy, everybody very stressed out. In Bandung, everybody is like, vaping and very chill and building the best product of their lives. So that's essentially our team. And these are some of my details. I think most of you probably already in contact with me on WhatsApp, right? This is my contact details. If you'd like to know more, please contact me. But essentially, what we are building here is the Shopee or the Lazada equivalent, but for services. And what is different about us is that the network effect is really, really huge. There are people who started cleaning platform, right? It doesn't quite work. There are people who started just a renovation platform. It doesn't quite work. You need significant scale for this thing to work. And after many years of blood, sweat, and tears, we are at significant scale, right? Most of our competitors have now left the market, and we are at significant scale to be able to price however we want to price, take whatever margins we want, but we want to keep things fair on both parties, because without our service providers, we are nothing. Without our customers, we wouldn't have service providers, right? So we want to make sure that this is a fair party that helps customers solve their problems and help service professional grow with us throughout the years. So that just like a cooperative, when we are successful, we are only successful when everybody is successful. But when we are successful, then everybody is successful. So that's the kind of like mindset, the kind of spirit, the culture of what we are trying to build here. So right now, I'm going to take a pause and ask if anybody has any questions. I see something in chat. I'm going to not stop share, but minimize for now to address any questions that anyone has. Got questions? Oh, sorry, just Alex, feel free to list your questions here and we will answer at the end of the presentation. So does anybody have any questions? I am more than happy to answer, or Alex or myself, more than happy to answer. Going to share and minimum. Yeah. Anybody, any questions? Oh, little baby grains. Hi, how are you? Let's see what else he says. Hi, Chris. Hi, Poi. I chatting with you on WhatsApp, but you got any questions? Just ask. Hi, Grace. You're probably little baby grains, right? And Hui-san is here as well. Hi. Ray just joined. Hi. Yeah, I need to catch up with you soon, Grace. Any questions from anyone? Don't be shy.
Malaysians generally don't ask questions when there's a lot of people. But let me start the ball rolling.
Sure.
I think you mentioned just now few of your competitors, they went out of business.
Yes.
Maybe what happened there and what is your takeaway from that don't happen to you?
That is a great question, Poi, and it keeps me up at night. Ever since we heard the news about 1 year ago. There are a few factors, after I reflect back on what we did differently to our competitors. I think firstly, our competitors started out with the assumption that more volume and smaller jobs is always the best to do, right? So they started off with categories like cleaning, aircon service. We started off with categories like renovations and interior design. So we came from different angles, right? And in order for the volume play to happen, you need to spend a lot of money very, very early on, right? And I believe they spent money in the years of 2014, 2016, where the market was not ready yet. If you remember right, the e-wallet craze only happened in 2018, 2019, when people started using Touch and Go, Boost, GrabPay, GoPay, OVO, and all that. Before that, it was very, very hard for you to convince people to buy things online. So you had to pay a lot of money. Towards 2018, 2019, because the government started supporting e-wallet and all that, people started to be very comfortable to buy things online, Shopee, Lazada, and all that. And as a result, the cost of acquisition of a customer became so much cheaper after that, right? So we only spent in the last maybe 2 years to grow, right? The previous years, we were just building the foundation and all that. So I think they raised too much money too early on. That's one thing. The second thing is that because we were doing very big jobs, our jobs were like $10,000, 40,000, 60,000 ringgit. We don't need to have so many customers in order to sustain ourselves and get revenue. That was the second thing that we came in from the big jobs first and then moved to the small jobs when we everything established already and we could get more and more volume. The third thing is that we went to Indonesia and our competitors either went to Singapore or Philippines. Now, this turned out to be very, very important because Indonesia turned out to grow so much faster than all other countries. And because of the population size, customer acquisition cost was like $1. But the customer acquisition cost in Singapore will be like 10 to 15 US dollars. So very hard to make money over there. But in Indonesia, even though the job size are much smaller, the customer acquisition cost is so low. So the volume could grow very, very fast. So we conquered the big market where the value per job was high. And then when we went into Indonesia, then the volume came in as well. So then we had both. And during the pandemic, if you remember, Philippines, Malaysia actually had the most crazy COVID policies. Philippines was the worst. They actually shut down their economy for 1.5 years, stopped all buses from all the different villages. So no one could come in, no one could go out. And they started carting like vegetables, meat and all that to all those villages. So essentially industry stopped for 1.5 years and our competitors' business got decimated. Whereas in Indonesia, they realized like, oh my gosh, so many thousands of islands and everybody is so far away. There's no chance we can control and stop the economy. So what? People are going to die, whatever, life goes on, we're going to continue operating. And that's what happened. The funny thing is, even though they were mostly Sinovac, which people said was the weaker vaccine, quote unquote, the peaks and the number of deaths and things actually never became so bad. It was never close to India at any one point. Everybody was kind of like, oh, we got a cold, we got well, life moves on. So in a way, Indonesia got stronger during the pandemic. And we were very lucky because we chose Indonesia. We did that because the co-founders were Indonesian. I've worked in Indonesia for many, many years, and Alex has got, exposure there as well. So that is one of the reasons. And the reason that obviously, we tell the team is that our team was superior. I mean, we are Indonesia co-founder. Our development team is in Indonesia, where our cost base is very low as well compared to Malaysia and Singapore, actually, where our competitors had their teams. Their teams were in Singapore and Malaysia. Our team was in Indonesia, where the wages are much, much, much lower. So I think a combination of these factors allowed us to survive at least and grow faster with a much lower cost than our competitors. Yeah. So combination of strategy, but also combination of being very lucky.
We have more questions.
Oh, yay. I love questions. Okay. Ray, how many suppliers are on board now with Recommend? Okay, so we have, if you look at our website, we have many, many, many different categories. In fact, let me share because I am very proud of our website. Obviously, the app experience is a lot more chunky, but here is our website. Can see or not? Don't ask me why I use Firefox, okay? Alex is always wants to kill me because I use Firefox. So essentially, if you look at our service, right, we have a lot of service: home improvement, home maintenance, cleaning, and all these guys down here. And you know what's the best thing about this model? It can apply to so many different things. We've only two business model, which is home maintenance. You order a service, we send you someone, we standardize everything. That's the first pillar that Alex presented. The second pillar is like, you tell us what you want, and we will allow a few different service providers to quote to you, and then you choose which one you want. So really, there's two models here. These two models actually apply on every category of service, so many different categories of service. The only services that we monetize right now is number 1, number 2, number 3, these 3 on top here. Because honestly, that part of the business is also a lot for us to do already. So we have something like, I think about 5,000 service providers who sign up with us already. Probably around 60,000 in Indonesia, right, sign up with us. But we only right now monetize in Malaysia a few hundred of service provider. In Indonesia, we monetize on a monthly basis, active users, about 5,000 service providers. But that is only the tip of the iceberg. There is so many more categories that we can potentially move into. Okay, so that's to answer your question. In total, we have probably about 5,000-6,000 active service providers. Yeah. So then, questions from Chris. Any plans to provide services related to gardening, tree pruning? Actually, funnily enough, recently we have seen an increase in the number of people who are looking for landscaping job and people who want to do urban farming. I think during the pandemic, everybody decided to grow like tauge and long beans and stuff like that. And now they have to go back to work. Nobody has time to manage the trees that they planted. So they wanted that service. It is small right now. I don't think we'll go into it in a big way. But I think every week, a few transactions go through, not so many. Oh my God. Another request from family and friends for fixing fans. They want to avoid changing fans. That is a great point. Okay, so fans, right, rarely spoil. But if they do spoil, it is very easy to fix. So there is actually a fan repair. Hey, Alex got fan repair somewhere. Fan install, ceiling fan install and repair. Very cheap. Easy to fix. So please help us. Yes, agreed. One of the things that I'm actually kind of personally very upset about is that sometimes it's cheaper to buy stuff, new stuff, right, from China than it is to repair. And that's why we end up with a huge amount of waste, right? As much as possible, we believe in repairing, because repairing means that you give somebody a job and you don't create sampah sarap that will end up in the ocean somewhere. Hey, you're welcome. Happy to know we have that. How do you intend to keep customers coming back to connect via your site instead of dealing directly with your partners after the initial job? That is a great question. The second thing that keeps me up at night. Our model has a lot of strengths, and one of them is super scalable, right? Zero asset. So we don't hire a single aircon guy, a single renovation guy, but yet we can run GMV or value of $10 million a month, right? So super scalable, adjustable, everything online, beautiful, beautiful model. One of the things about services is that the customer meets the service provider. And because of that, a lot of the incentive on our system is actually adjusted so that they still come back to deal with us after the initial job. Okay. One of the things is that after a customer completes a job on the system, we give them vouchers. So for example, if their job is 100 ringgit, we give them a 15 ringgit voucher to come back the next time. But we do it across 5 different categories. So because they get so many different vouchers, right, it actually makes sense for them to come back to us rather than to save the 5% that the service provider may give them as a discount if they hire them directly again, because you get so much more benefit. So that is the loyalty kind of angle, right? So both Malaysia and Indonesia has very strong voucher wallet to take care of this. That's the first one. The second one is that customer is given a warranty and an insurance in case anything happens. Now, whether or not they are coming back for the vouchers or they're coming back for the insurance and warranty, not super clear, but it has helped to move them back into the platform gradually, right? Now, on the service provider, why do they prefer to come back through the platform? The first one is that the second job, our take rate is very low. It's like 5% only. Okay. So then they're asking themselves, okay, do I want to go against the policies to save 5%? Maybe not. But the more important thing is that we have tiers of service provider. So when a job actually comes in, the juiciest and the most Klang Valley versus Nilai, right? The best job goes to the guys in the first tier. They get priority. Nobody wants to take it in the first tier, and then it goes down the tiers, right? So there is priority for the service provider. The more jobs they complete, the more customers recur back to them, which is the loyalty score. The bigger jobs that they complete, they actually have a higher chance of getting to the priority tier. So they always want to keep themselves in the priority tier, because the moment they fall off, then they will get the funny jobs in like very far off places, Rawang, Nilai, maybe areas that they don't really cover. So if they want to be in the priority tier, they better close the jobs, they better have a good loyalty score, and they better not cancel, right? Things like that. So this helps keep them on the straight and true path. I don't think that we can resolve this problem 100%, to be honest, because people are people. Sometimes for 5% also, they will try to bypass you just because they're agents, but it has helped to a very large degree. The other thing is also we have subscription. So whether or not you pick up service, whether or not you do, you pay a flat fee and you don't get charged extra if you want to close more jobs. So subscriptions help also a bunch of service provider to say, whether I bypass or I don't bypass, it is the same price. I might as well be honest so that I'm still in the priority tier. Okay? So moving from transaction fee to subscription also has helped solve the problem with a large bunch of service provider. And to be honest, we are moving quite strongly in the areas of membership, where the customer actually pays something on a yearly basis. So we don't actually have to charge the service provider so much. Keeping them honest, don't need to bypass. Secondly, they are also subscription. So also don't need to bypass, no benefits anymore. How will the Ringgit 5 million funds be utilized? That's a great question, Ray. There is a slide that I initially presented. Let me pick out that slide again. This slide. 30% of the funds will go towards strengthening the B2C. So that's basically the memberships, the subscription, the AI for us to estimate prices of jobs. So potentially when customers then get a quotation over our system, we can tell them service provider A tends to be expensive, service provider B tends to be cheap, but you have to watch out for the fact that his quality is not so good. Service provider C is probably the best guy for you. Okay, and we know that because all the prices go through our system, we are able to tell which service provider tend to be expensive, cheap, or which service provider tend to not turn up after a while. So all these things help keep the customer on the system, right? Retaining the system, because the system provides value to them. The second part is B2B. B2B flow is a little bit different from B2C in a sense that the customer don't pay in advance. The customer takes maybe 1 to 2 months to pay. So because of that, the flow needs to be slightly different. So we don't generate like payment requests to the customer and all that. At the end of the month, we collect all the thing and we bill the B2B customer one go. But the service provider needs to be paid immediately, right? So the flow needs to be amended somewhat. That's for the B2B side. So one of the companies that we're working on with this is Alphamart. Alphamart has 17,000 branches. In comparison, 7-Eleven has about 3,000, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So 3,000, yeah. I think it's about 3,000. Yeah. So the scale is very, very large, right? So how does one system or one account handle 17,000 branches? This is something that we're working on in terms of growing B2B. The repair network going into aircon, completing the supply chain is the remaining 20. This one will not need so much effort because it's basically B2B sales and account managers, which we we already have the team and the capabilities. Your service providers make or break your business. That is true. They are our inventory. If we don't have service providers, we might as well, close shop. What are your policies and process to evaluate them? What has been your rate of cutting off partners and how do you deal with customer complaints? As a marketplace, we always have to balance these two things. We ask ourselves the question, is it customer that is driving the marketplace or is it service provider that is driving the marketplace? And after a few years, our answer is very clearly, it is customers that are driving our business. If there was no customers, the service providers will not talk to you. If there are customers coming, service providers will flock to you. And in fact, service providers flock to us. We never need to look for them. They are just registering, waiting for us, bugging us to let them in. As long as we got customer, the service provider will be there. What is our policies and process to evaluate them? We have 5-step policy to control quality and to evaluate them. The first one is that we search for them in certain places where somebody has already vouched for their quality. So for example, Lao and somebody say, hey, call Mr. Leong, my repairman, he's very good one. So we call Mr. Leong and we get him on. When we get him on, he goes through our onboarding process where he's explained about everything that happens, what's our SOPs and all that, and he goes through a simple test. If he fails the test, he cannot join our platform. The third one is that when they first come onto our platform, we don't let them deal with priority customers. We don't let them deal with Courts or Aeon, right? We test him first. Look at his first few reviews. Quality is good. We will then promote him up the priority tier. Quality is bad. We talk to him. 1 time, 2 times, he doesn't fix, he is out of our system. Okay. What is our rate of cutting off partners? Quite a lot in Malaysia, especially if it's for example, foreigner team. Even though they're very hardworking and very hungry, sometimes their communication skills is not quite there. And unfortunately, sometimes they also get stopped by, policemen at roadblocks all the time, even though they are legal. So they tend to be late to customers' house. So from those kind of perspective, we have to also balance that. How do we deal with customer complaints? We have got customer service staff who champions the customer experience. And in any case, when the customer needs us, we always intervene on their behalf. But our marketplace is driven by customers. Service providers are easy to get, medium in order to filter them, but they will always work with us because we give them a lot of customers. I always believe something. There are no good service providers and there are no bad service providers, but there are service providers that are being watched every day because we watch their reviews and ratings. And we talk to them, we train them, we tell them, hey, this is not how you deal with customers and stuff like that. So there are service providers that are a lot better because of recommend.my. But essentially, if we don't watch them, our service providers actually treat our customers much better than their own customers. Because if their own customers are pissed off, so what? So many fish in the sea, don't care. But if they piss off our customers, we will cut them off from everything. So they treat our customers much better than they treat their own customers. What kind of customer acquisition activities are in place? Now, this is the one in which we are not so aggressive compared to our competitors. We tend to favor online channels. Why we like online is because people who find us on online channels already know how to use an app. They are familiar with the basic Shopee, Grab, as well as WhatsApp. So we don't have to teach them what buttons to press. They already know, right? And we do partnerships with Aeon or Courts. People like that partners. So if you walk into Courts, you'll see our signage everywhere. Same with Aeon, right? We are blasting them across first 10 branches and then after that slowly towards 100 branches. That is the kind of customer acquisition activities are in place. We tend to not stand in shopping malls and distribute flyers. We tried to do that. It was very tiring and demotivating, and plus we spend like a fortune in printing all those things and don't really convert very well because our kind of service is not so much like, oh, if you know my brand name, you will always come to me. People always go to Google and search one because that is just their behavior in Southeast Asia. So we focus a lot on SEO. If you type in maybe one of our service provider like Maju Terus, Technical, whatever, you will find our website. And for example, Up Your Home, right? We probably, our business profile for Up Your Home probably ranks higher than his own Facebook and his own Google listing. That is why we have a lot of traffic coming through SEO. And from the very start, right, Alex has been sort of like obsessed with making sure our SEO is absolutely the best it can be. Yeah. Hello. Sorry, my son is here. I forgot to lock the door. Yeah. Any other questions from anyone?
Jasmine, Foy again. Last 2 from me because I need to run.
No problem.
Yeah, so very quickly, the first one, the slides was very fast just now, but I see something like your connection conversion is about maybe like 50%, something like 70,000 connection, but you sort of complete the job 35,000. Is that how I see that? Is that the ratio that you like?
That's right.
Or it can be better?
It can be better.
That's the first question.
Yeah, it is actually when we benchmark it, one of the highest in the world already. But
really?
still want to improve. Yes, surprisingly, right? Because if you look at, say, Airtasker, High Pages and all that, their connection rate is like 30, sorry, I mean their completion rate from say 1,000 jobs coming in, they complete maybe 30-40% only. Ours is actually one of the highest in the world. But yes, can always improve.
Okay.
Yeah.
The second one, this race and the next race I saw is like 12 months down the road.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of exit and all that, for anyone who comes in this race, that doesn't sound so compelling compared to if there's another race 12 months down the road. What's the thinking behind this?
Sorry, I didn't really get your question. What were the two scenarios that you were comparing?
I saw you're raising this round and you're thinking of raising another round 12
Yes.
months down the road.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something like if you come in this round, you can actually think about going out the next round as well.
You could, yeah, there will be an
otherwise you wait for 2-3 years exit like everybody. Now, my question is, what's the thinking behind these two rounds of racing so near to each other?
Okay.
Yeah, what is the thoughts? Because the people who comes in now, you are not in a break even yet. The people who comes in next round, you obviously will be thinking that you're already broke even, but you need more money.
Yeah.
So what's the thinking behind this?
That's a great point. So yes, precisely. This round is actually before we broke even. So we are giving ourselves some time to break even, right? So next round, by the time we raise the next round, we will be broken even already or very, very close to. So at that point, the valuation will be much higher and the revenue will be much higher, obviously. And then one is to actually gun for an exit already in 2 or 3 years. If you invest at this point, you get an option to get a bit of an upside in 6 to 12 months time, or you could wait for the IPO in 3 years. But when we raise the Series B, we will not be opening to retail investors. Most of the time, it will be institutional investors only. Yeah. Yeah. So either way, you either get a quick returns, right? Much higher than interest rates even, and then after that will be the gunning for an IPO in about 3 years. But even there, we're kind of like looking at it and possibly even preparing for it already.
Your valuation is based on which year revenue? 25, 26?
Let me see. 2022 actually is historical. 6x at historical. A combination of historical and this year's estimated. So it's about 5-6 times like that.
So it's current, right?
Yes, current. Yeah.
So when you put 7x there, is at which year?
It will be at the end of 2023, hopefully. So revenue should be at about 1.7, 1.8 million. So that's how we get a higher. Yeah.
All right. Thanks. Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome. Thanks for great questions.
So there's a tech question here. What's our investment on back-end security systems, cyber resilience, and protection of data? Well, we are pretty much 100% hosted on the cloud. So we use basically all the best practices that they provide to us. At the network level and the web level, we've got standard web application firewalls with Cloudflare. So we're able to see if there's any spikes, like if there's any DDoS attack or any kind of attack where we're being alerted right away, and we can block off those IP addresses or those countries. In terms of protection of data, cyber resilience, we have failover for our databases. We run slave read-only so that they can be restored very quickly. We also provide any kind of data deletion that is necessary if anybody wants to remove their data. Yeah, but it's not being hosted or being maintained in our backyard. It's everything is on AWS infrastructure.
Yeah. Hey, thanks so much, Alex. What are the chances of existing unicorns such as Grab, etc., try to model your business and therefore pose a serious threat? To be honest, I think the existing unicorns like Grab, etc., have problems of their own. I think their business model is also not an easy one. And also, we used to be worried like players like, Gojek, they launched their own Go Live and things like that. But before the pandemic, they actually cut them off. Why? Firstly, because they are, they raise like, 500 million or something, and they need to make sure that the market sizes and all that are very much focused on their three verticals, which is food, ride, and fintech, right? So it needs to be very, very big industry. The thing with services is very big, but it's also fragmented such that their technology right now, the flow of what they're doing, can never cater to the services industry. Why? Because for Grab, for example, the SKU is set. If you want to travel from PJ to Klang, they can say, okay, it's 56 ringgit 50 cents, and that price does not change. Even though there's a traffic jam, or even though, stones fall from the sky, it is still the same price. For us, actually, what the system estimates to be the price could be different from what it eventually is. So our system is actually taking care of the SKU actually changing along the way, right? And every single one of our verticals have a slightly different request form and slightly different data that we use to actually capture the price, estimate the price. And they don't have the infrastructure in place, whereas we do have the infrastructure in place. So therefore, Grab and all that is very much a location business, one point to one point. And ours is more like everybody going everywhere, but the SKU could potentially change. And that's why I'm no longer worried that they try to replicate. They actually tried. So Grab actually tried to replicate by launching an aircon business in Singapore, and it went nowhere. Gojek launched their own Go Live. Beginning of the pandemic, they cut it all off. So we no longer have a worry. We also integrate to them. So if they wanted that use case for their customers, so much easier to integrate to us. Right? We do all the hard work, and they get the cut of it. Right. So yeah, not really an issue. I think a bigger issue would be maybe the Indian players coming in. And about 2 years ago, we had news that the Indian players were coming in. And then after a while, we realized that it's very hard for them to come in because the culture between India and Southeast Asia is actually very, very different. So they come in with the mindset that, Indonesia is very similar to Mumbai, and it is not at all. If you ever worked with anyone from India, you realize that their culture is very different. And therefore, till today, not a single Indian player has managed to beat a single Southeast Asian player, probably with the exception of Better Place, but they do not compete. They actually buy, right? So it is a much better exit opportunity for us. Yeah. So I think this market is for us to take, right? We have already beaten all our competitors. This market is for us to take. Now we are rallying up support so that we are able to build a very, very large business, sustainable, no hype, coming from Malaysia and becoming the success in Southeast Asia. So, come and join us for this journey. It will certainly be not easy. Nothing worth it has ever been easy, but we are game for it. We are game for the challenge. Are there any other questions? Alex, got questions are not from social media. Usually they only ask questions after everything is ended one. So we just type the answers there.
No, so far no.
So far no, yeah. Okay. Well, it's been really great speaking to everyone. If there's any other questions, let me just show my contact details again. Please feel free to ask me. I can also give you the link to pitch in, right? There's a whole page of stuff and charts and, where you can actually read. There's a video there as well. Feel free to look through. We'll probably be going live in about probably 2 weeks' time. Right. So anybody who invests before we go live will get additional 30% shares, right? But do it quickly because we are going to go live soon. So let me know, right, your commitments. Hope to see you along for this journey and take advantage of the discount of 30%. It makes a difference in terms of the number of shares you get. So, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for spending your lunchtime with us. And some of you, I believe, has signed up for the physical lunch on Friday as well. If yes, please confirm your attendance so that we can buy enough food for lunch. Thank you so much, everyone. Hope to see you in person on Friday. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.